Good afternoon. Welcome to the Big Show. Well, a very, very late edition of the Big Show. And of course, I could give you all kinds of reasons as to why, but you don't want to hear that. We're the Big Show, brought to you by FanDuel Casino. And of course, also Pella Windows and Doors. I made the mistake today. I needed to drive into Shadyside for a minute. I made the mistake today of doing that. I mean, we're 5 days removed from the snowstorm, and the city is still a mess, and I don't understand it. Anyway, I basically parked in a snowbank on the side of the street because there was nothing else you can do, and guess what? I got stuck. So I was fighting my way out of it, and of course, then I had to try and figure out a way to get down Penn Avenue. It was a joke. So there's that. And of course, now when you do that, you burn a bunch of gas. It's crazy what happens here. It really is. Anyway, we basically had to get it done, and I did get it done, sort of. And I hope that we will, at some point, get this city undug and unstuck. But until then, be careful when you go to the city because you're going to be stuck there if you don't figure out a way to get out of your parking spot. Now, the Steelers are continuing to put together their coaching staff. One of the names that's pretty intriguing is the offensive coordinator they're trying to hire. And that would be New Orleans quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzien. He is a quarterbacks coach right now. He's 38 years old. And, oh, that's right, he played for the Packers under Mike McCarthy. And then, of course, he coached as an assistant under McCarthy with the Cowboys. Now then, if you look at it, what are a lot of people excited about with this hire? Well, they hired a guy who, well, they haven't hired him yet, but it looks like they're on the path to hiring him. He worked with Tyler Shaw. If you remember Tyler Shaw, Shog, whatever the hell his name is, he was at Louisville. People made a big thing about it because he got picked, if I'm not mistaken, before Shedeur Sanders, and people were like, this is a joke. He's an older guy. Anyway, so he completed 68% of his passes, 2,384 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, started 9 games. There's a lot of people that really give this Scott Tolzien a lot of credit for, the work he did with Tyler Shaw. So that's why there are people that are excited about it. Here's my thing with all of these hires. It's wait and see for me. It's wait and see. You don't know what exactly, a guy's impact is. And of course, Tolzien actually, let's see, he was on a practice squad with the Chargers, and then he made the 49ers roster, made the Packers roster, made the Colts roster. Then he started his coaching career. He was he was an analyst at Wisconsin. So he worked for Paul Christ. Then he was at the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy. This year he was with the Saints. So let's see. He threw for 88 completions, 60 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 1,000 yards in his career as a player. If you remember him, he was a player at Wisconsin. I remember him very well. So anyway, he is a guy who's going to be the offensive coordinator, it looks like. He's the guy that they're going to hire to be the offensive coordinator. That Mike McCarthy's going to bring in. Again, it really doesn't matter, does it? It really doesn't matter. Because if it did matter, the reality is, we would be getting a lot more excited about it. But he's made it very clear that he's going to call plays. McCarthy, I mean, made it very clear that he's going to be the one that's going to design the offense. I mean, he's going to be the offensive coordinator, really. So, this guy Tolzien they're bringing in, they're just sort of grooming him. And, he's somebody that really knows. He really knows the offense, knows what McCarthy wants, knows what it is. And, you bring a guy like him in, a young guy like him, and you hope that he continues to learn. And he goes through the process of figuring out, how to really fully become an offensive coordinator by learning from Mike McCarthy. So, I mean, there's some people that say, well, you bring him in for 4 or 5 years and then he becomes the head coach. I'm not ready to go there. Not ready to go there, but, there's some sense to be made about that. I think one of the biggest things is you're bringing in a guy who's a quarterback guy. And that's what you need more than anything. You need somebody who can develop a quarterback. You need somebody who can develop the quarterback position, develop a young guy, and all that other good stuff. That's what you need. So to me, when I look at it, I basically say it's really going to be important for Tolzien to come in and learn the system. And the funny thing is, you know what? He might come in, learn the system in 2 or 3 years. He's a head coach somewhere else. So I don't hate the hire. I don't. I think when you look at, and again, it's not a hire yet. He's just bringing them in, but it seems pretty clear when they start to bring these guys in for assistant, when they start to bring them in for interviews for assistant jobs, it's pretty clear to me, it's really clear actually, that they're probably going to get the job. So, that's where we're at with that. Doesn't really matter because, again, Mike McCarthy made it very clear that he's going to basically go out and he's going to be the guy that puts together the offense. He's going to call the plays. And I think that's going to be the key with all of this stuff. So when you think about it, another guy that he brought in or is going to bring in is a veteran offensive line coach, James Campen. Campen played he was the offensive line coach for McCarthy at Green Bay. So he played a number of years in the NFL, a couple of years in the NFL. And then he has been an assistant coach for a long, long time. He's been an offensive line coach. He's bringing him in for that position. They've got 2 other guys they're bringing in at the offensive line. The question then becomes, and I would tell you the question becomes, okay, are you a little bit nervous? Are you a little bit nervous that all of these guys he's hiring are all guys that have ties to him? Now, I don't know what exactly is going to go on with Bubba Ventrone. Bubba Ventrone, obviously from Char Valley. He's a local guy. I mean, it sounds like he wants to talk to him as well. Although, hold up. Looks like the Rams are going to hire Bubba Ventrone, so the Steelers are probably not going to get a chance to. All I'm saying is, when you think about it, I understand there's a familiarity that you have. I understand that there's the ability to work with guys that you've liked or that you've worked for or worked with in the past and all that other good stuff. But when does the new blood come in? That's what I would like to know. When does the new blood come in? When does the new ideas come through? That's what I would like to know. Because at the end of the day, okay, what it comes down to is The idea behind everything else is that you're going to have a mix of veteran guys, but also a number of young guys. And I think one of the biggest problems with the Steelers is they don't have enough young, innovative people on their staff. They haven't for a long time. They like the sure thing, and I get that, and I understand why. But I also think that, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to have new people, new ideas. It's okay. It's okay to have young people. It's okay to have people that are innovative. So I think that's what is going to, shape this staff. I think the important hires are good. The big ones are good, but it's kind of more of the same, isn't it? It's kind of a lot more of the same, if you ask me. So that is one of those things where I want to see what the staff looks like when it's intact and complete, because I want to see who all these young guys with new ideas they're going to bring in. That's what I want to see. I'm not sure where I'm not sure where they're at with some of these guys, but to me, if you have a bunch of guys that have all been, assistants for McCarthy, they've all been, in his system and all that other stuff. I don't know. It's just important to me that they bring in some new blood, because I just think that when you have the same guys doing the same things, it doesn't really lend itself to growth. Doesn't really lend itself to getting better. Doesn't really lend itself to going forward. And I think that's the key with the Steelers. They need to go forward. Who's the worst? To me, when you bring in a guy who's been a long-time guy on your staff and he's not good enough. And there'll be a few of those guys that come through that just because they're, ties with Mike McCarthy, will hire them and give them a job and give them an opportunity to do whatever they got to do. So I think really when you look at the totality of the picture, they've got a chance to get it right, but they got to get it right. Got a chance to get it right, but they got to get it right. And I hope that's the case. I do. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And really, to me, it comes back to this whole idea of, here we are, and we are basically trying to decipher who is on the staff and who's not. I think that's all the big thing. That's the rage. Now, it's interesting. I was listening a little bit to Jesse Minter, who is the new Ravens coach, right? And interestingly enough, he is going to call the defenses for the Ravens. I don't understand these guys. I just don't. I mean, to me, I get it. You're a good defensive coordinator, but if you were really good, you would basically be able to farm that out to somebody and groom them and teach them to be really good at, running defenses. And it's just one of those things where I don't understand. You're the head coach. You got a lot of good things. You got a lot of things to worry about. It's just going to be interesting to see how it works. But when the Steelers play against the Ravens, it'll be the ultimate, coach against coach, because one guy will be calling the offenses and the other guy will be calling the defenses. Speaking of which, if Todd Monken decides he's going to call the offenses in Cleveland, and you could have three coaches who are basically head coach and coordinator. I don't know. I don't know why these guys want to do that to themselves, but that's what they're doing. And so we'll see. But again, everything about this Mike McCarthy hire so far, it just seems like they're trying to be as safe as possible. They don't want to try and, take a shot at the stars. They just don't. They want to play it safe and make sure that, well, you know what? We have the ability to be in our little shell, and we're not going to take risks and all that other good stuff. Patrick Graham, I think, might be a good hire. Tolzien, I guess, if you think about it, he's not really an offensive coordinator, but he's a quarterback guy, so that maybe makes him a good hire as well. I think that's the key there to me. So that's what the Steelers are trying to do. They're trying to figure out their staff, and it's funny how many of these guys they end up having that have worked with Mike McCarthy, in the past. I'm not sure if I love that. I don't know that I love that, but I get it because this is the way people. This is the way that a lot of these coaches go. This is what they do, and I think that's the key, if you ask me. Really, it's interesting if you look at all the guys that are hiring coaches right now, and everybody is looking to hire coaches. It's a competitive market. It really is. I mean, it's just one of those things where there's a lot of these coaches have a lot of options. And I think that's the most important thing to me is, like, if you're the Steelers, you got to make sure you hire the right guys and get them there. Period. That's the way I would look at it. So anyway, looking at the guys at the Senior Bowl, Omar Khan not at the Senior Bowl, but Andy Weidel is. Makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Omar Khan really isn't a personnel guy. He's the numbers guy. He's the money guy. Andy Weidel is the personnel guy. So yeah, I mean, people are acting like, wow, this is crazy. And I know that Omar Khan has showed up in a lot of different places, but my thing is, I don't know. You're sending your personnel guy to the Senior Bowl. That probably makes a lot of sense. Really does. So, at any rate, I think when it's all said and done, we'll be able to grade this staff. We'll be able to figure out, if there were some good hires or bad hires. But so far, again, everybody wants to make a definitive statement right now about what the staff is. And that's just nonsense. You don't know. You don't know. I just think, you really don't know. Some of these guys it looks like they're all good coaches. They've had success along the way, but sometimes it doesn't work, does it? I just think that's really what you have to look at, when you sort of evaluate these things. There's a lot of circumstances that suggest something's going to work, and a lot of circumstances that suggest it's not going to work. I think this is probably the safest kind of staff hiring process that I can remember. They haven't really gone on a limb for anything or anyone, period. And so I just think that's incredible. But it is important for them to go out and make sure they continue to hire the right guys. Continue to, to make sure they go out and make their staff better. But I think they also need to infuse a bunch of young guys, because young guys probably are what they're missing. And, some of the young guys are innovative and able to, basically change the course of things because of their brains and all that other stuff. Some aren't. And that's really where we're at. You want to make sure that they hire the right guys, period. So anyway, it is, one of those things where we will continue to monitor. By the time we get back on Monday, I would assume we're going to have a really, really good idea of who's on the staff and who's not. Until then, have a good weekend.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.